I'm going to keep this straightforward because what matters most is whether this tankless water heater actually solves the headaches you've probably run into with your current system. If you've been wondering whether a propane-fueled, indoor-rated unit can give you endless hot water without blowing up your energy bill, this review should give you a clear picture. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the hesitation that keeps most people on the fence. The biggest fear with any tankless unit is the upfront cost and the complexity of installation. You've probably read about instant hot water and imagined a sleek box that you can just plug in, but the reality is that a 120,000 BTU propane model needs a proper gas line, venting for condensate, and enough indoor space to meet safety codes. If you skip those steps, you end up with a unit that either won't fire, or worse, creates a carbon monoxide risk. That's why the manufacturer recommends professional installation and provides mounting hardware right out of the box. Now, who actually benefits from a system like this? The Rheem RTGH series is sized for 6.8 gallons per minute, which translates to comfortably handling 2 to 3 showers running at the same time. If you have a family of 4 or 5, or a house with 3 bathrooms, you'll notice the difference the moment the first person turns on the tap in the morning and the water stays hot for the whole duration of each shower. It's also a good match for households that already use liquid propane for cooking or a backup generator, because you won't need to retrofit a new fuel source. On the flip side, if you're a single professional living in a studio apartment, you probably won't see the value. A traditional storage tank that holds about 30 gallons is usually cheaper to install, takes up less wall space, and the occasional reheating cycle isn't a big deal when you only have one person using hot water. Likewise, renters should think twice. The unit is indoor rated, which means you'll need to mount it on a wall and run a dedicated vent line to the outside. That's a permanent modification most landlords won't allow. Let's get into the practical strengths that actually matter day to day. First, the condensing technology pushes the uniform energy factor to 0.93, which is near the top of the efficiency scale for propane water heaters. In plain English, you're extracting more heat from each pound of propane, so you'll see a lower monthly fuel bill compared to a conventional non-condensing unit. The savings become noticeable after a few months, especially if you're running multiple showers back-to-back or doing large loads of laundry with hot water. The digital LED control is another point that users tend to overlook until they need precision. You can set the temperature in 1-degree increments, which helps you avoid the lukewarm splash that sometimes happens when a tank runs out and the next batch of water is reheated. For families with kids who are particular about water temperature, that level of control can actually reduce the number of bathroom trips for cold water complaints. Another real-world advantage is the endless supply. I've spoken with a few homeowners who have installed similar Rheem units in the past, and the common scenario they describe is a weekend of guests staying over. With a storage tank, you often end up with a cold shower rotation once the tank is depleted. With this tankless model, the guests could each take their own full shower without anyone noticing a dip in temperature. That's the kind of convenience that feels like a hidden luxury. Now for the weaknesses that can bite you if you're not prepared. The most obvious is the need for a condensate drain. Because the unit operates in a condensing mode, water is produced as a byproduct and must be routed to a drain or a condensate pump. If you don't have a nearby floor drain, you'll have to install a pump, which adds both cost and a small maintenance task. Forgetting to clear the drain line can lead to mineral buildup, which over time reduces efficiency and could trigger an error code. Another practical concern is the propane demand. At 120,000 BTUs, the heater will draw a sizable amount of fuel during peak use. If your propane tank is already near capacity because you use it for a grill or a generator, you could find yourself refilling more often than you'd like. That's not a flaw in the heater itself, but it's something to factor into your overall household fuel budget. Noise is also worth mentioning. While many propane tankless models are quieter than electric ones, the Rheem RTGH does produce a low-level hum when it's firing at full capacity. In a small house, that hum can be heard in adjacent rooms, especially if the unit is installed near a living area. It's not ideal.